Hello and welcome. It's a Thursday afternoon, Thursday, October 29th to be precise. The man over to my official left is Robin Black. I'm Mallory Woods, and we're here with a prelim, kind of pre-watch thing for Bellator 250. If you think about it, it's kind of like Christmas. You have a card of this caliber it's not really the middle of the week, but on the waning part of the end of the week. But this card looks great. Robin, you're over in a temporarily new location.
Yeah.
Still doing great things.
I'm in Edmonton. Yep. Out here in Edmonton. There's been snow on the ground most of the days I've been here. Tomorrow I'm going to Austin, Texas. And then on the weekend after that, Wyoming to commentate Dave LeDuc versus Cyrus Washington. So it's going to be a hectic week, but we get to hang out today. This is just a pregame for the show. If you don't watch our watch parties, Mallory, myself, today we've invited Ray Thompson, Dewey Cooper. Dewey Cooper is a legend. And I've invited a couple other special guests. I sent a message to Faraz just now. And we've asked the Lima McFarlane, Bellator champion, because it's been a bit of a sausage party often. So we got to invite some ladies in who know how to fight and know martial arts and just make this place a little more interesting. But yeah, man, like killer fights. Let's hang for 20 minutes and let's talk about them and let's think in advance of what we're going to hang and do, and maybe take some questions. People can leave us some questions that will direct us to what we're going to talk about on our watch party today.
That is correct. If you guys comment either on whatever platform you're watching on, whether it be Facebook, YouTube, even Periscope, which I see is up and live as well. Actually, let's go ahead and kick off with one question that actually came in pre-broadcast, and the question was why are Jake Hager and Nick Newell on prelim and not on the main card? And there's actually some news about that right now in terms of Nick Newell.
Yeah, so Nick's out. Actually, Nick is out, and I was told. Actually, I saw Nick's post, and Nick's post is that he tested positive for COVID. He passed. So when the I'll give you a quick overview. When the Bellator fighters, staff, everybody, before they leave to go to the fight sphere, they get tested, come back negative. Then they go to the sphere, they check in, they go into a quarantine area, they get tested. When they're negative, they enter the sphere. As Nick mentioned, all his cornermen, the people he traveled with, even the people he was around when he was tested, they all came back negative. He tested positive, I believe, Wednesday or Thursday. Today's Thursday, so I believe Wednesday. So that could be a false positive, judging by the fact that he's alone in a bubble, but he's off the card. Jake Hager, everybody's stoked to see Hager fight. His first two fights were finishes. He's got his toughest fight, an ex-NFLer, Pittsburgh Steeler, I think. Brandon Carlton, I think is a Pittsburgh Steeler, a big, powerful, super athlete. So that will be a test for Jake. He's been able to win by being a better athlete as much as being a better wrestler. Now he's facing a guy who's also a retired high-level athlete. So it's going to be cool. But he's 2-0. He's on his way up. And, the main card is pretty stacked. So that's why Jake's on the undercard.
Yeah, I mean, this is a good problem to have when you have so much good talent. I remember one time people were complaining that, Donald Cerrone was on the undercard. It was like, well, look at everything else. You've got so much good, and not saying that he's not good. You have so much good that there's only so many slots into the main card, and just because it's not the main card doesn't mean it's not going to be great.
For sure, and what does it matter, right? Sometimes people are very interested in the process of promotion. Like, how does promotion work? Why did they do this? What does the big show do? How does this, what are the ratings? What are the pay-per-view sales? People are often curious about that. And you're free to be curious about anything you like. We're free people. But where a bunch of promoters choose to put a fighter that you get to watch for free on YouTube and or our stream, right? Who cares?
Hey,
good for us.
That's a good plug right now. If you guys have never watched any one of the watch parties before, what we actually do is we're able to stream the undercard, which is streamed live on YouTube. So we'll actually have in a window over here. And as we talk and as our guests, we'll have great discussion. A lot of people like the fact that they can go ahead and put on the fight and they can mute it and they can look at us, or they can continue our broadcast as we get secrets, as we talk to Ray Thompson about what his strategy is for setting up fights, as we talk to AJ about things. It's been a great
Yep.
a great watch party itself.
Great coaches, fighters. We've had psychologists,
Mhm.
biomechanic professors. We've had, anyone who can give us a different perspective, which leads me to another question I see here. Somebody's like, hey, who the hell is this Mallory Woods guy?
I don't know.
Mallory's a lifelong martial artist. And there are famous people in the world who know absolutely jack shit about fighting and are not fun to hang out with. And then there are people who know a lot about martial arts who love, I'm not looking for, nobody out there should be looking for the person with the most Instagram followers. Is the conversation interesting? Are the people interesting? Is the hang interesting? And ours is. And Mallory is my friend and a lifelong martial artist. And that's who that is. We'll talk about who do you have in tonight's main event? I don't know. I mean, shit, if I could predict the future, we'd all be rich, right?
Yeah, that'd be an easy thing. One of the things is the slight tease to the main event is you got both guys who are ridiculously they're so calm in their fights. And as a guy who's going in there with another trained human looking to render you unconscious, it's amazing that both of these guys can look like that and they fight like that, and that's a scary guy who's always thinking and never letting the moment be bigger than them. So I'm looking forward to this.
Do you know, I don't know how good your math is, Mallory. Do you know who the total number of fights, recorded professional fights, these two guys have combined?
I have a cheat sheet. Thank you, Google. Let's see here. 55 for Mousasi and Lima. Where's that
39.
39. There you go.
That's 90. That's 96, 94. 94 professional fights between 96 professional fights between them. I mean, I guess I was about to say, do you know what that means? But of course we don't know what that means, right? Of course, most of us have never done anything at the highest level a handful of times, never mind an entire adult lifetime. So the comfort level that you're talking about, it's interesting too. It's like Gegard will swear, and I've sat down with both these guys, swear he's one of the few who doesn't feel scared or nervous or anxious.
Right.
It's not impossible that he's telling the truth, but it's also quite possible that he's lying because it is a naturally human instinct to be able to have some anxiety, especially when you've done it a lot.
Right.
Doing it a lot will make you more relaxed. It's more familiar, but you also know what's possible. Mousasi's been knocked out with a jumping spinning kick and a flying knee and landed on the ground. He's been on the wrong side of it. He knows what's possible. So whereas Douglas Lima's like, man, it's the most scariest thing in the world. And I hate that feeling for 2 days before it. I feel like I'm going to die. But then when I get in, I can fight.
It's to me, thinking about before any fighter takes that walk, you obviously have weigh-ins the day before and everything. And there's such a long period between the weigh-in and you get to, kind of eat regularly, try to rehydrate yourself. And then that long wait to the night of the fights. To me, that has got to be the most torturous, thing ever, because your mind could game 100 different scenarios. And then there are people that, like you said, like he would sit there and he would just, all that matters is the fight. I'm going to execute my plan. Yeah. And if you can truly do that, then you kind of are a step ahead of the game.
Yeah, that's what the goal is. The goal is to be able to go in and do that. Interesting. I was saying how sometimes we'll look at something and be like, why did the promoters do this? And again, people have different interests. Some people are interested strictly in the fighting. Some people like the personalities. Some people actually are really interested in the game of promoting. It's the same question here from Abdal. It's an interesting one too, because I've been around this game now for some decades. And the thing is, if you stop at any point in time, Bellator is much larger in comparison, much higher reach in comparison to the UFC than they were 2 years ago and 4 years before that. And the biggest accomplishment that they have done, the royal people who work for Bellator, the company of Bellator, the fighters especially, is young fighters now can be 20 years old and say, I want a career in Bellator. 10 years ago, before Scott Coker came here, that wasn't true. Now it is true. Now, if you're a 20-year-old, you can know that you're going to pursue fighting for a world title and make a really good living. And that's a big difference. That's a difference that will be much more trackable and traceable in 2 years from now, when there's that many more guys who are 20 now entering Bellator and fighting and becoming the best in the world, when the prospects start really developing. But at the same time, it's like, ultimately it's about the fighters, right? It's about the fighters. It's not about promoters. It's not about brands, logos, you know.
Here's one where it says, "Bet all your money on Mousasi." Let me get my mortgage.
Yeah. What do you sell everything you have? And I mean, listen, like Douglas Lima is one of my favorite fighters. So let's talk a little bit about this fight. And we tend to we're not just doing, and some of that is purposefully, some of that is because we are shocked that everybody just goes through the same processes all the time. But we're not just going to say this guy's great on the ground, and this guy's great on the feet, and this guy does this, he's got the best leg kicks in the game. But Mousasi's proven as a Dutch kickboxer. We can do all that, but we're always looking for something different, and a lot of those things become very repetitive to the point that they lose meaning. But Doug is absolutely one of my favorite fighters. And if we just, like, Mallory, if you just say to 10 fans that know fighting, tell me about Douglas Lima, what do you think most of them will say?
He's just, one, his explosive power, explosive knockout power.
Yeah.
And he's ridiculously calm.
And leg kicks. And then they'll add leg kicks. They'll be like, Douglas Lima, best leg kicker in the game.
That's the leg kick you don't want to be on the other end of.
Yeah. But when I think about it, I just did Fight Secrets, as you know. It's on Bellator YouTube. I go deep analysis and break down these, look at all these fights in slow motion and zoom in on things and spotlight certain moments, and then really investigate how and why they were created and what meaning we can pull from them. When looking at Douglas Lima, people always talk about, how hard he hits, how smooth he is, and his leg kicks in particular. But when you look at it, it's not like Douglas Lima is the greatest leg kicker ever, because it's not about the weapon or the leg kick. He's not like, he didn't just do leg kicks a million times more than somebody else. He doesn't necessarily just do them only faster or smoother or whatever. The biggest thing is when he throws them. And it's in my Fight Secrets, but I looked at it and tried to dig a little deeper. Maybe we'll pull up a couple of videos for the watch party tonight. But when Douglas Lima will often do something, and it's in Fight Secrets, called going third. So I go one, you go two, and I go three. One can be a blow, and now you counter, that's two, and I throw, that's three. I try to throw when your weapon is out. But one can also be an invitation, like dropping my hands, or movement. It can be a full body fake. One can be anything. All that has to happen is it draws your two. But this is what's so fascinating about Douglas Lima. He'll do one thing to get you to do one thing. But the second you launch the second movement of this phrase, he launches his. And often, so I do one, you do two, and I'm Douglas Lima, I do three. His three lands before your two. The third movement of this phrase lands before your movement, which started first. So it's speed of movement, but it's also speed of being able to express himself in it. So the acceleration off the line. So imagine, Mallory, you're throwing a punch at me, just any punch. You're going, while my brain, Douglas Lima's brain, has detected the beginning of that punch. So your punch is earlier in the sequence. Doug will be able to launch his and often land it even before yours has. So you initiate, he responds, but he still gets there first. He does it most often with the leg kick, but he'll do it with almost anything. And it's really impressive. And we'll often say it's speed, but it's not just speed of hand speed or foot speed. It's speed of seeing and processing. And that's freakish to see human beings be able to do things like that.
Well, it's, those counter fighters, and for one, that he's a step ahead of a counter fighter. But the counterfighter makes you not want to have any confidence in your techniques themselves. You start to get alligator arms. You don't want to throw. You don't want to exchange. You become a shell. That's the great thing about that. See,
yeah,
true. His ability to control and mess with the range is a thing of beauty. In leg kicks and heavy top game, hitting outside, you would have high level chest smash.
Yeah.
I can see that.
So it would be great to see him fight Israel Adesanya. Izzy's younger, but both of them have, hundreds of fights. We said Gegard has 54 MMA fights. Go look at his kickboxing and boxing and Muay Thai fights. And same with Izzy. Izzy has 100 fights in his life, and they would be wonderful. Mousasi. So, and Devin, I like where you're thinking. I just want to prod you into a different line of thought as well. We often will be like, that guy's leg kicks are awesome. That guy's got a crazy jab. And we do that, and that's the voice we use, and it's just sort of the sentence structure that we've tended to use. But the jab itself is not anything special. It's just a tool. Mm-hmm. And I say this often. That would be like saying Prince has an amazing guitar.
Right.
Or Prince's guitar strings are so phenomenal. They're not. It's just a fucking guitar. What's amazing is Prince. Mousasi's jab is just a jab. What's amazing is Gegard. What's amazing is his mind and his body and his fucking emotions and his soul. He uses the jab beautifully. He makes brilliant art with the jab, but the jab itself is just a fucking jab. Same thing, leg kicks, heavy top game. These are just categories of choices. Leg kick is just a leg kick is just a leg kick. The man throwing it, the mind of the man throwing it, the feel, the essence of the man or woman throwing it. That's what matters. And that's the direction I'm really going with the way I explore fighting right now and the way I like to talk about it. And of course, that's fucked up. Some people are like, why don't you just say the things? Because introducing even a simple change in a line of thought like this gets a lot of pushback, but it really opens up your thinking in a different way.
I agree completely. That is one thing. I mean, because you think about it, the jab, any specific movement, any sequence of movement is being taught hundreds and hundreds of times in these United States, this North America, and yet all around the world. And it's the person that makes them special. Yeah.
That jab, and we see this with Khabib a lot. Oh, beautiful double leg takedown. No, it's just a double leg takedown. Same thing Khabib's been doing since he was 4. Is it technically great? Yes. Is it done at just the right time with just the right commitment and intensity? Yes. But in the end, what's special? Khabib's special. Who's special? What's special? The jab or Mousasi? Mousasi is. And the more I've thought down that line, the more it opens up everything. You almost start to catch yourself when you say, oh man, beautiful front kick. Bullshit. It's just a front kick.
It's just a front kick. It's
the expression of it, and how they used it. Beautiful guitar by Prince. It's like, no, he made wonderful music using that tool. Robin, where can we watch Bellator? Is it on Channel 5? Now, I don't know where Channel 5 is because it all depends what part of the world we're in. Right. But Mallory, myself, Dewey Cooper, but we asked Ray Daniels. He may be coming. We've asked a few other friends, Ray Thompson, Firas, Lima McFarlane. Usually we ask a bunch of people and then we get a cool cast of characters and we'll hang out and watch the fights. All the fights except for the 3 or 4 main card fights. So probably starts 5:45 Eastern time till about 8 Eastern time. We'll have it right in our stream, right here. Is it the same link? No.
It'll be a different link, but just look at, so if this is a perfect segue. If you want to know, subscribe to Robin Black on ESPN. Follow him on Facebook. Follow him on Twitter, and you'll get the prompts when we actually go live with those fights and who our cast of characters will be tonight. One thing is that it is available on the CBS Sports Network if you're over here in North America, and also on DAZN if you have the app.
Yeah. 8 p.m. is CBS. This is cool. It's a Tankero man. We were just talking about it. Is it the guitar or the player, right? Is it the jab or Gegard? How much does rhythm play a role? So, and it's phrased beautifully. It's fighting a battle of rhythms or a constant blend of rhythmic movements. So it's like a dynamic. So Mallory, just start playing any rhythm. It's anything. Now, how do those things interact? And what if Mallory started to try to use his to force mine? Which one of us? So I start playing again. Anything. So what if I fall in now? And then he changes. Yeah, and I fall in sequence with him, and then he changes his. What if he's play again?
Best beat drop ever.
What if I'm moving at a completely different speed than him? How is he going to be able to keep up? When do we touch? When do they meet? How do we? And I really, really like the idea. Almost imagine it like the way you see musicians jamming, but in reverse. Instead of trying to fall in perfectly, you'll try to make the other fall in and then interrupt. Make the other fall in so he's playing along with you, and then you kick him in the face. Right there, it's a beautiful thing, and the true explanation of what's going on lies in our brains, how our brain recognizes patterns, our desire to connect to that pattern, or our desire to throw him from that pattern. All of it, like it's such a part of it. But you start thinking about any of that shit at all, even just think about it for a moment. What rhythm am I doing? And you're unconscious. You're gonna be fucked. Like, so all of this has to happen naturally.
That I wish we had Ray on for this, because Ray Daniels always talks about breaking rhythm, and you kind of see it. For example, when you have someone that fighting is almost just like a dance. You're going, you jab, I jab, you kick, and you get in a flow, and then all of a sudden you fight someone that's awkward, that has rough edges, and you're like, man, it's hard fighting this guy because they don't format to the rhythm that you're used to, and that throws you off. And a lot of times people play their entire game on that by fighting the awkward.
Yeah, for sure. And what you think is awkward feels natural to them.
Exactly.
It's just got to be awkward to you. It's just like, and I remember when Dominic Cruz was fighting and Joe was described, and Dom didn't like that, but Joe was right. Like Joe would be like, he's got an awkward herky jerky style. That was fucking bang on analysis from our perspective.
Right.
And from the perspective of the guy fighting Dom. The guy fighting Dom's like, what the fuck is this guy
what is he doing? He's there.
Yeah.
So
Ray is, Ray's got skills that he's so smart and he's so self-aware. But even some of his own skills are happening so naturally that he may not even bother, there would be no reason to overthink them. So we don't necessarily understand, and he may not fully understand. Even the artist manipulating the other person doesn't understand. But what they do recognize is certain things. It's like, if you're fighting Ray or Lyoto, or there's any number of these guys who are really good at this, and it's not because it's karate, although that's an element, but there's lots of fighters who will do this, where all of a sudden you find yourself mirroring them. The last thing you want to do against Ray Daniels, or against, Stephen Thompson, or against anybody, last thing you want to do against Uriah Faber, it is be him. Because he's better at being him.
He's been him for quite a long time, longer than you ever had.
Right. He's been him his whole fucking life. So why on earth you're fighting Lyoto Machida and now you're moving like Lyoto Machida? You got now you're fucked. So, but he made you do that. When Mal was just playing a rhythm, if I fall into that same rhythm, it's going to be way easier for him to fuck me up, because he's going to, now he made me be a rhythm that he totally knows in his masters. He dictated it, and then now he's going to interrupt me. So, but man, this has gone fast. We got a hard out in a couple of minutes, and we didn't even dig into all these. But hey, if you're watching us for the first time for our watch party pregame, this is what happens. Like, we'll bring in a bunch of people, and then we're going to be deeply curious about their life, their experience, their knowledge, the things they do and like to do, especially the coaches and the martial artists. So we will meander all over the place, and we not only allow ourselves that, but we encourage each other to do that. So hopefully you enjoy that.
Yeah, and don't forget, there's always Fight Secrets, which it was a dig deep into the crate that Robin did for this event. Find all this little stuff that's hidden in between, stuff that you usually normally gloss over, like, oh, that was great, this happened, but find out the why, find out the how, the why, and everything else, and you do a great job of that.
Thanks, man. It's Bellator YouTube channel. It's Fight Secrets, Mousasi versus Lima. It's my favorite thing I've ever done. But I'm going to take a couple of clips from it, and I'll send them to you so we can pop them in if there is a quiet or a slower time during the broadcast tonight. We can play with them, particularly when Mousasi stopped Rory and then mangled him. But there's also when Lima is, and I'll give you a little taste of this right now, but Lima's fighting Koreshkov. And a lot of people have seen them just firing at each other, moving and sliding with wide hooks, and then Lima knocks out Koreshkov. And that's all part of it. It's happening so fast, you don't get to be like, oh, shit, it's a right hand, I better slip. You've just got to move. But there's a moment in there where in the chaos, Lima's already moving in this direction.
Mm-hmm.
So he's moving in this direction. And you see, as you slow it down, as he's already committed to this movement, there's a right hand coming at him. And he is able to change the movement and block and catch it. And that's so crazy. It's one thing if I'm standing here and somebody like a high level fighter throws something and I can deal with it. It's another thing if my body's already committed to the wrong movement.
Mm-hmm.
And then still you see, interpret, make it, give your body an order, and then adjust to protect yourself and counter. And it's crazy to see it. It's so rare. I've analyzed tens of thousands of hours of fighting, and I rarely see that because the brain is asking the body to do some crazy shit in that moment, and it's pretty cool. So I'll bring that one when we do tonight. Quickly before I know you have to go, what other fight or fights are you into it or stoked about?
Well, I was excited about Nick Newell. You just told me right before we started that was going to be one. So, I'm going to have to go and I'm going to look. The undercard's got a lot of good stuff on it. And, I'm going to go through. I'm going to get my favorites. I'll have everything ready, especially as we'll be talking tonight.
We did a watch party and Sabah Mousasi was fighting. He's fighting Volker. Volker's been around for a long time, knocking people out. That's a really interesting one. And Corrales and Gertz. Because everybody's going to love this fight. Corrales and Gertz are just, they're very little editing, self-editing. They're just going to, their idea of defense is throw more punches.
People love to see those fights. I mean, it's bad for the career of the fighter, but they love to see people just go in and go toe-to-toe and throw hands.
Yeah. These are two of them, and they're two very similar guys. And they are, and you can see it. They are just both so excited at the level of test that the other is for each other. So it's going to be a really, really, really cool one. But yeah, we got to go. It's almost what is it? Almost 3 p.m. your time. No, almost 2 p.m. your time
for me, and a couple hours back for you.
So I'll make a post with the guests and everything, and I'll share it around. If people want to share it, wherever you're watching this, we'll have our Bellator live watch party tonight with a bunch of special guests. Probably starting, my guess is 5:45 Eastern time, because with Nick off, and I think Beta's off too. So I think that we're looking at like a 8-fight card. So it could even be 6 p.m. Eastern time. We'll see.
Just definitely, always as a reminder, subscribe to Robin Black. Of course, we'll find out when we are ready to broadcast, and we'll be back for that watch party tonight. Should be good times, my friend. I am looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. All right, everybody, we'll see you tonight. Enjoy the hostilities.